I would like to give you a summary of our latest forecast report, Spring 2017. For the countries in Central East and Southeast Europe, the international economic environment appears to be currently quite positive. The euro area is expected to grow by a rate of about 1.7% this and next year. The international financial markets have stabilized. The mood of economic agents throughout Europe is actually quite good at the moment. Also in recent quarters, we have seen in the region all countries going into positive territory. One exception being Belarus. The country is currently going through a painful adjustment process triggered by accumulated macroeconomic imbalances and a strong dependence on Russia that in recent years had quite low growth rates. The forecasts that we have for the region are the following. I can show you this on the table. Growth rates will range somewhere around 2.5 to 3.5%, on average approaching 3% by 2019, with a slightly upward trend. A few countries will have above average growth rates closer to 4%, or at least substantially above 3%, such as Hungary, where we have next year elections, so fiscal expansion can be expected. In Romania, both fiscal expansion effects as well as good prospects for future FDI, especially in the automotive sector, also increasing growth above average. Similarly, in Slovakia, higher growth can be expected due to strong investment in foreign direct investment in the automotive sector. Also in the Western Balkans, for instance, in Albania and Kosovo, we have quite high growth rates, partly due to infrastructure investment. Also, the countries from the CIS and Ukraine will face higher growth rates over the forecast horizon 2017 to 2019, somewhere between 2 and 3%, after years of really bad growth earlier. The main growth drivers are private consumption on the one hand and gross fixed capital formation, investment on the other hand. After the investment slump in 2016, which was due to the switch in the EU co-financing programs, the countries in Central and Eastern Europe, which are members of the European Union, can expect for the next years a strong increase in investment, which is particularly funded by EU transfers. And looking at the household consumption, we see an improved mood of households throughout the region. Also, given the consumption patterns, we can expect that this positive mood will last for quite a while. We observe increasing wages, reduced unemployment, and this seems to imply a positive, a virtuous circle of economic development going on at the moment in most of the region. At the same time, the unit labor costs are increasing. Normally, this is worrisome for competitiveness. However, at the moment, over the medium term, we do not expect that this would really be problematic for the countries of the region, Central East and Southeast Europe. On the one hand, because it might reflect also an improvement in the quality of output. We observe a strong increase in the production of capital goods, much stronger than the average industrial production, which capital goods we believe are of higher technological quality than the average industrial product in the country. But also on the aggregate, we see that some countries actually are in the process of reindustrialization for several years already now. Also, some countries can expect quite a strong increase in FDI, in the coming years, especially in the automotive sector, also especially the Western Balkans can expect higher FDI inflows, which is also important for their competitiveness. And a longer process is the improvement in the structure of education of the labor force in the region. We see an ever higher share of tertiary educated population in these countries. So overall, we believe that despite rising unit labor costs, competitiveness is not endangered. Nevertheless, there are heightened political uncertainties following the Brexit referendum in the UK and the US presidential elections last year. So a number of worrying scenarios could materialize, which could make our forecasts appear to be maybe over-optimistic. For the Central and Eastern European EU members, President Trump might, for instance, mean more protectionism, which for this very much export-oriented group of countries might be a problem. Also, Mr. Trump has questioned the post-war security arrangements in Europe, which again might be a threat to especially Poland, the Baltics. Brexit might mean that there will be a strong cut in EU transfers to the Eastern EU member states. But also, for instance, for the Western Balkans, increasing political uncertainties might mean that maybe the EU carrot and the US stick will become weaker, and other players would interfere in the region and cause uncertainties over this really fragile structure, economic and political, in the Western Balkans. For the CIS economies and Ukraine, the uncertainties have increased as well, especially concerning the oil price, but also geopolitical tensions over eastern Ukraine particularly. However, overall, from a still rather optimistic perspective, we believe that currently the economies from Central East and Southeast Europe are back on a convergence track. The average growth differential between the countries of the region and the euro area countries, for instance, is expected to be at around 1.2 percentage points. So overall, our forecast is slightly optimistic, I would say. Thank you very much for your attention.